It's the Boomey-Factor Review Show. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Boomey-Factor Review Show. I am KODX Factor, and we are here live. I am here again, Dolo, this week. Our good friend Boomey couldn't make it this weekend, but we have just gotten our hands on the brand new God of War for the PlayStation 4. And I have to say, you know, the world of God of War has always been about brutality and puzzles that span across the mythos. You know, the first time we met Kratos, he was a mortal man who became a god while taking on the likes of Hades, Poseidon, to Zeus himself. He was a troubled man who killed his own family because of gods who told him that this is the thing that he had to do. And then he ended up going on a journey to fight back against those that took most of what he held dear, which was his family. And we now find Kratos many years later as an older man, still bearing the scars of his troubled past. We still as brutal as he was when we left him, but this time, you know, his family is fighting alongside him. As you can see, his new son Atreus is a son who has been set yet to reveal his true nature and the man his father truly is. So he has no idea truly who Kratos really is, and has no idea that Kratos is really a god living among men. And the series takes a move from Greek mythology to Norse mythology, which is actually pretty cool. I actually kind of like Norse mythology as well. I was a bigger fan of Greek mythology, but I'm okay with them taking a transition to Norse mythos. And it actually makes a very smooth transition to it. Even the gameplay has been tweaked to kind of give the series a breath of fresh air from its predecessors and gives it more of a modern feel. So the combat is still very well done with a fleshed out combo system, even with the camera being brought in a little bit closer to Kratos himself, as you can kind of see here. There are still puzzles in the game to solve, so the core of the franchise is still intact. It just kind of has a redefined combat system, a redefined gameplay elements in a very good way. So there's a lot of things now that Kratos has at his disposal that he does differently than he did previously before. So as you can see, the kind of camera is a little bit more brought in to the character himself as opposed to being much further behind him. The game also doesn't have any load screens throughout the course of the playthrough, so every cinematic plays right into the gameplay and moves very distinctly, which to me I thought was fantastic. This shows the level of graphic fidelity to the game and brings us to how beautiful the game actually looks. It has a lot going on in the foregrounds if you pay close enough attention to it, as well as right here in front of you. So look at the combat. I mean, look at how the characters are animated. Look at how the graphic fidelity of the world around you really is. You also notice that a lot of the fight sequences look amazing in the game. They are as brutal as ever, so they are about as brutal as you remember them to be. And many will notice that really quickly that there's no QTE events, which are QuickTime events, when fighting the enemies off that had been removed, when fighting enemies off. So this is an element of the game that has been removed for the most part, but instead it has been replaced with a little bit of a harder fight sequence and longer battles. Save points have also been removed and now have a built-in checkpoint system as you progress through the story. And, you know, I have to say, you don't hear Kratos' name really brought up a lot in the game as well. That's something that kind of stunned me. I won't say stunned me a little bit, but kind of took me because, I mean, if you remember the game, the previous entries had kind of like a voiceover narrative to it. You had the story kind of being told as he progressed to fighting off the gods. To where now it's kind of like a more streamlined progression type story where you are pretty much telling the story. You don't have somebody else telling the story for you. The fights are pretty. As far as the mini boss or main boss fights are very, very well. Can kind of be big in scale. Even some of the characters you meet in the game are very, very big in scale. You've seen some of the trailers where you meet like the big serpent type creature in the lake. That has been really, really scaled to where you actually feel, especially if you're playing in 4K, just the intensity of it. You know, just you get that feeling of size and awareness.
Pretty dope.
And you also can see here that the game does have like the parry system, so you have to really, really time your parries with the shield that you have kind of attached to your gauntlet. And a lot of the characters in the game are very from the Norse mythology era run. So you hear Odin being mentioned a lot. Thor is mentioned quite a bit. There's statues you come across of Thor. So those are all within the game as well. So there's a lot to kind of take in for the game, especially if you're a fan of that kind of mythos, from dragons all the way to mythical creatures of that era to witches. And you'll come to realize that some of them end up working in your favor, all the way up to the dwarfs that you meet later on in the game that end up being your blacksmiths. The game also has a very, very interesting way, like an upgrade system. So as you level up in the game, there are lots of secrets to find. So make sure you search throughout every area that you go into, because there is plenty for you to find that will help you upgrade your character as you progress. And that goes from upgrading your skills, upgrading your equipment, which actually does change the look of your character. So it's not just kind of something that doesn't really kind of show. It does change the look of your character, as well as upgrading your equipment, so your axe gets many, many upgrades as you progress on. So you can increase the damage of it. You can give it special runes that give you special abilities as you go. You can increase frost damage to it. You can have some runes that give you life as you progress, or as you fight. So the more hit counters you get in sequence, the higher your health will go. And here's one of the giants that's in the game. That's kind of like a mini boss early on that you have to fight, and you can command your son as you're playing through the game. So he's not just like a character that's running around getting in your way. You can use him to help you in battle. So you just hit the little square icon on your controller, and he shoots arrows at your enemies to kind of help distract them away from you, so you can kind of unleash more brutal attacks. And you can upgrade him as well. So you can upgrade his skills, you can upgrade his equipment, his armor, to help make him stronger and help you more and more in battle than just shooting arrows. So all in all, God of War lives up to the billing and is well worth the 2 years we've waited since the announcement. Kratos is definitely back, and I love how they built in his relationship with his son. So for so long we saw Kratos as a lone warrior fighting the gods. Now we see him as a father protecting the memory of his lost wife, and building up the courage to tell his son who he really is and what his son has deep built within inside him. It's a very great story built with great characters, a great environment. So this game gets the 5 Golden Poopies Award, which is a perfect score from us. It also received the 100% awesome fan vote on Twitter. So make sure you go to our Twitter handle @TheGameNightLounge to vote anytime we have a review coming up. So we hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Make sure if you like what you've seen, please make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. And until our next review, I am KODX Factor. We hope you've enjoyed this. Game on, everybody.